Peter Parker isn't always your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Well, actually, yeah, no. He pretty much always is, isn't he? But just because he's friendly doesn't mean his comics and stories involving the world of Spider-Man always have to be that way. Sometimes Spider-Man comics get dark and scary and creepy and crawly. I mean, the name Spider-Man itself implies some sort of horrific monstrosity. Of course, Peter isn't actually half spider, except, well, for the times when he is. Join me on exploring some of the most frightening Spider-Man tales as we count down the top 10 scary Spider-Man stories worth reading. And for those of you who are new to the channel, hello! I'm your host, Amanda McKnight, and this is my home. That's right, for the next 14 days or longer, you may notice that our videos here on Top 10 Nerd have slightly become the Nerds edition of Cribs. These are the members of my stay-at-home posse, Pablo and Lola, who will also be joining us today. Now, this is all happening because we have decided to close the studio where we normally film in order to keep everyone home and safe, so we'll all be working remotely for the next little bit. But never fear, we are doing this so we can continue to stay safe while also making lots of good nerd content for you all. So, if you haven't yet joined the Nerd Squad, don't be shy, smash that subscribe. And be sure to also let us know in the comments below where you are from and how the virus has been affecting you. I want to make sure all my nerd fam is doing okay. I sincerely hope that you are and you're not too negatively impacted by the state of the world currently. And if you aren't doing as well, I hope that our content can at least offer you something to keep you entertained and help brighten your day. And on that note, let's get counting. Number 10, Ultimate Clone Saga. This version of the Clone Saga didn't just have a good and evil clone of Peter Parker, but instead had a whole slew of clones to choose from. This time around, the people responsible for creating these Peter Parker clones were Otto Octavius and Dr. Connors, who were both working with the FBI and CIA. It also involves a version of Jessica Drew that instead is a female clone of Peter, but who still had all of his memories. Weird. The CIA planned to manipulate her mind and wipe Peter's memories from it, but before they got a chance to follow through with their plan, Jessica freed the other clones and they all escaped. You can find this story in the Ultimate Spider-Man series. Number 9, Web of Death. I'm sorry, but you know my love of the 90s, so sometimes we gotta go there. This 4-part story arc takes place between 2 comic serials, The Amazing Spider-Man and Spectacular Spider-Man. While it is part of the Clone Saga, which has led, I'm sure, many to dismiss Web of Death, and many of the consequences of the story were later undone, I do think it's something worth reading. Especially if you're a Doc Ock fan, because it has lots of good moments between him and Peter, who at the time is dying from a virus given to him by Vulture. And we also get to see the brutal death of Otto at the hands of the frightening, messed up Peter Parker clone, Kane, with his luscious hair. This is also the story arc where MJ got pregnant and her and Peter are gonna have a baby. There's also a part of the story where you think that Peter actually kicked the bucket and died. Needless to say, if you want some intrigue and murder and you can deal with 90s comics and you love them, maybe like I do, this one is for you. So, you're welcome. Or, sorry. Number 8, KRAVEN'S Last Hunt. This scary Spider-Man story originally made us think that Spider-Man had finally been defeated and even killed. Kraven sets out to capture and kill Spider-Man, his ultimate prey, because Spidey always managed to get away. And surprisingly, Kraven succeeded, and he made it all look pretty easy. Kraven buried Spider-Man and then took up the mantle himself, aiming to prove that he could do an even better job than his foe at defeating his own villains, because he figured Spider-Man had gotten away so many times, I really gotta do more to prove myself here. And to Kraven, defeating Spider-Man's foes proved that he was better. But when Spider-Man shockingly returns, spoiler alert, he was not dead, he was just knocked out for a few weeks, he revealed to Kraven his objective as Spider-Man was never to completely destroy his foes, but simply to prevent the crimes they sought to commit. Deciding that he had achieved everything he could while in his prime, and he'd proven himself pretty much, Kraven let Spider-Man go, and in the end he took his own life, resigned with his accomplishments. But don't worry, it's a comic book, so he comes back. Number 7, Dying Wish. In this story arc, starting in Amazing Spider-Man issue 698 and spanning 3 issues, Peter Parker does actually die. Sort of. This is the final chapter in an ongoing plot of Otto Octavius, wherein Otto aims to take over Peter's body as his was failing. He succeeds in swapping bodies with Peter and leaves Parker's consciousness to die inside his former body. Ugh. While Peter inside Otto's body is fighting to stay alive, in the end he does perish, but not before he can flood Otto's mind with memories of his life, inspiring Otto Octavius to flip sides and turn to a life of heroics, surprisingly. Even aiming, like Kraven in a way, to be better than Peter, taking up the mantle Superior Spider-Man. Because obviously, he's like, I'm gonna be superior to Peter Parker. Doesn't quite turn out that way, but that's okay. Number 6, Spider-Man Reign. So, you may be familiar with the Old Man Logan storyline, and have you ever wondered what this story would be like if it were about Spider-Man instead? Well, if you have, look no further, because this dark and depressing story is basically Old Man Parker, or Old Man Spider-Man. This version of Peter Parker is an old man full of regrets. Peter went on to own a flower shop, but was destroyed when MJ died of cancer as a result of being exposed to his radioactive bodily fluids. Basically driven insane by grief, he ends up returning to a life of fighting crime in his old age, when he's not busy clutching tombstones while crying and having very terrifying hallucinations. This story is also almost as violent as it is depressing, so if you're into that, you should check it out. Number 5, Go Down Swingin'. If you haven't heard about this story arc and you're a big fan of the Spider-Man comics and Peter Parker's villains, this one is going to be a must-read for you. This 4-part story arc takes place in the Amazing Spider-Man series starting in issue 797. Realizing that he is at his most powerful when he gives into his own inner demons, Norman Osborn plots to get his powers back, and part of this plot involves the Carnage symbiote. Yep, I think you know where we're going with this. Norman Osborn manages to succeed in this and merges with the symbiote to become Red Goblin. It takes tons of heroes from the Spider-Man world to band together and defeat him after he manages to convince Peter Parker to give up the Spider-Man mantle in exchange for not brutally killing Peter and his family. I mean, is that a fair deal? Instead, Parker is forced to fight against Red Goblin as himself in order to defeat this new version of the 2 merged psychotic foes. Probably one of the most horrifying foes we've yet to see. Also, it really messed up Norman Osborn doing this. Like, a lot. But I guess that was the goal. Number 4, Back in Black. This 5-part story arc takes place in Amazing Spider-Man starting in issue 539. Aunt May is rushed to critical care after being shot by an assassin while out with MJ and Peter. While her life hangs in the balance, Peter sets out to uncover evidence as to who is behind the attack. He discovers the Kingpin is to blame and pays a visit to Kingpin, who is in jail at the time, simply to kick the living out of him. The fight is brutal and violent. With Aunt May's fate uncertain, Peter tells Kingpin that he better hope that Aunt May survives, as his own life depends on it, promising that if Aunt May dies, he will return to finish Kingpin off and kill him. A pretty dark story for a hero who is generally known as having a no-kill policy. Number 3, Absolute Carnage. Absolute Carnage might not specifically center around Peter Parker's Spider-Man, but it is an event involving tons of characters from the Spider-Verse. In Absolute Carnage, Cletus Cassidy returns from the dead after merging with a new symbiote. The symbiote Carnage has seemingly perished as he attempted to save Cassidy when the two fell together from space back to Earth. Long story. However, remnants of the symbiote live on in Cassidy and are able to influence the new Grendel symbiote, basically turning it into sort of a new version of Carnage. With a new link to Null through the Grendel symbiote, Cassidy agrees to help free Null and sets out to collect the remnants of other symbiotes known as codexes, located in the spines of every person and super, dead or alive, who's ever bonded with the symbiote. So he's gotta go remove all their spines. Number 2, Shed. This 4-part story started in Spider-Man issue 630 and centers on Dr. Kurt Connors. Though Spider-Man is also involved in this too, obviously. It is his series after all. Connors, after being reformed from his life as the Lizard, finds himself once again pulled to the dark side after the death of his wife Martha and the near loss of his son Billy, both to cancer. Billy, what a son name. Dr. Connors begins to lose control and once again finds himself becoming the Lizard and losing himself to animalistic instincts. The Lizard decides the best way to shake Connors' consciousness is by eating his son Billy. Spider-Man races across town to save Connors and stop him from this, but arrives too late. That's right, Doc Connors eats his own son, and as a result, he fully becomes Lizard. Not only is the story here brilliant, but there is some great use of color involved as well when it comes to the art. Lots of dramatic colors play with the use of light and dark, creating stark shadows, mixed with some brilliant pops of a blood red. Number 1, I Walked with a Spider. Sounds like I'm going to tell you about like a little children's tale. Once upon a time, there was a... Patton Parnell is actually one of the most terrifying alternate Spider-Man that I have yet to uncover. If you want something really gruesome, then this is a story for you. It only spans one issue of Edge of the Spider-Verse. You can find it in issue number 4. This issue is written by Clay McLeod Chapman, with its disturbing and vivid artwork coming from Elia Bonetti. The story centers around Patton, who lives with his abusive Uncle Ted. He is bit by a radioactive spider and undergoes a slow, gruesome transformation into a spider-like monster that also comes with an uncontrollable urge to feed on living flesh. You know what they say, with great power comes great appetite. That's what they say in this comic. It's true. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope that you enjoyed this list and that it didn't spook you out too much, or spooked you out just enough. What are some of your favorite Spider-Man stories? Which alternate Spider-Man do you think is actually the most terrifying? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love the world of Spider-Man, totemic warriors, whatever you want to call them, as much as we do, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Till next time, this has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight, reminding you to stay safe and stay nerdy, YouTube. Bye.